Good day, everyone. This is Mr. Lowe with our next lesson, lesson 5.8, using a calculator to convert fractions to percents. So far in math class, we've been talking about converting from fractions to decimals and percents. So we're going to do a very brief review, and then we're going to talk about a couple of different ways, not only with a calculator, but also without a calculator. So let's go ahead and get started. We have a table in front of us. This column will be all in fractions. This column will be all in decimal form, and this last column over here will be in percents. There's lots of different ways we're going to do this, but first, when we convert from fractions, there's a couple of ways we can do this. We look at the part and the whole. So our fraction is going to be, the numerator is the part, that's the piece that we're looking at, and our whole is our denominator. So in this fraction that says 2 over 10, 2 is our part, 10 is our whole. Does everybody understand that? We talked about converting from fractions to decimals first by making them into easy fractions. And this one just happens to be an easy fraction. Remember, we said easy fractions were fractions where they had 10 in the denominator or 100 in the denominator. So when we look at converting 2/10 into a decimal form, all I need to do is make this 2/10, where this is my tenths place, and there's my decimal point. So 2/10 is written as 0.2 or 2/10. We talked about converting easy fractions. Not only that, converting fractions to decimals, we also talked about doing long division. We could have easily have done long division here. Would have been very, very simple to do. Matter of fact, I might do it down here at the bottom here. We just 2 divided by 10, decimal, decimal, add a 0. 10 goes into 20. 2 times 10 is 20, and I'm left with 2/10 as my answer. So that was pretty easy to do as well. And then the third way is with a calculator. We could have just gotten our calculator. I'm not going to go bother and go ahead and do that, but we could have very easily have done that. So we have converting from fractions to decimals, 3 easy ways. Converting it to an easy fraction, making it into long division, and then working it with a calculator. Now, to convert from a decimal to a percent, we're looking at another couple of easy ways. The first way is taking that decimal, 0.2 or 2/10, and timesing it by 100. 2/10 times 100. When I times anything by 100, all I have to do is move this decimal 2 places. So when I do that, I end up with, here was the decimal, I've moved it here to here, and now it's over here, so it's 20%. That's one way. So timesing it by 100. Of course, you could do that with your calculator. The other way, which I really like myself, is what my class from last year, 2 years ago, used to say, is move that decimal. So whenever we convert from a decimal to a percent, think of the television show, where they build those houses for people that need new homes. All you have to do is move that decimal, and you always move the decimal 2 places over to the right. 2 places to the right, 1, 2, and we move the decimal that way. Move the decimal 2 places to the right. So we can then take a look at, what if I was given a percent first, and now we need to go this way on our board, from percents to decimals over to fractions. Well, that's even easier. Well, I start with my percent, which is 28%. Where's the decimal in 28%? It is right over here. And when I went from a decimal to a percent, I move the decimal to the right. When I go from a percent to a decimal, it's just the opposite. I move my decimal 2 places to the left. So I get 28 hundredths. And then to go from a decimal to a fraction, it's that read it, write it. I read this as 28 hundredths. I write it as 28 hundredths. Very, very simple. So again, one more example here. We have 44 hundredths. Well, I'll write this as 44 hundredths. And then we'll move this decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2. And I have 20, or not 20. Sorry about that. I have 44%. 44%. Converting from between fractions, decimals, and percents is really, really easy. As long as you remember to go from a fraction to a decimal, you can make it an easy fraction, you can do long division, or you can use your calculator. And to go from decimals to percents, you can use your calculator by multiplying the decimal by 100, or all you have to do is just move the decimal 2 places to the right. For example, let's take 3 and 2/5. Now I know 2/5 can be an easy fraction just by timesing this by 2 and timesing this by 2, so I get 4/10. And I know my 3 over here is my whole number, so I have 3 and 4/10, which is 3.14. To convert that decimal into a percent, all I'm doing is moving that decimal 1, 2, add a 0, 340%. So, real good review. Easy way to convert from fractions, decimals, and percents. So when you guys come into class tomorrow, you're going to do a couple of things for me. First thing I want you to do is turn to journal page 147. They give you a table. They let you use your calculator to go from a fraction to a decimal, and we're going to do this by dividing. Remember, you guys, it's really, really important to remember this. This division line means divide. So this is going to be 18 divided by 35. And then to go from this big, long, crazy decimal to that, all they did was take the decimal and move it 2 places to the right, and then they rounded. So I get 51.4, they round it to 51%. So that's a pretty easy problem to do. We are going to take a look at a couple of story problems here. This one you might remember from our review. We have Mrs. Carlin found the same pair of pants on sale at 3 different stores: Gap, Banana Republic, and Abercrombie. So Gap, Banana Republic, and Abercrombie, which Mr. Lowe never shops at any of those stores, in case you were wondering. All the stores have the same original price. However, Gap has pants on sale for 1/3 off. Banana Republic has them on sale for 25% off. And Abercrombie has them on sale for 1/5 off. When we're dealing with fractions, decimals, or percents, we're trying to compare them to figure out which one has the best sale. We want to be able to compare apples and apples. So because these are all kind of different, we have fractions, we have percents, we have fractions, let's make them all decimals. I know in my head 1/3 is going to equal this, 0.333333, and I just know that from memorizing, but if not, I would have divided. 1 divided by 3, decimal, 10, 3, 9. You can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? I know that 25%, since we just learned to convert from a percent to a decimal, all I have to do is move the decimal 2 places to the left, and I get 0.25. And I know that 1/5 is equivalent to 2/10, which is 0.2. So now that I have these as decimals, it's easier for me to compare them. And the one store that's going to give me the best deal, where I'm going to have the most off, is going to be this one, because 1/3 is equivalent to 0.33. When I compare all these decimals, 0.33 or 33 hundredths is a lot bigger than 0.25, and it's a lot bigger than 0.20. So we have that as a good problem for you. And we have another one. I'm not going to give you too much details on this one, but we got a cost of a guitar, $280 in 2 different stores. Sam's Music's having a sale. The guitars are discounted by 30%. Melody is having a sale where they're discounted by 3/5 off. We want to determine which store has the best sale for the guitar. We don't necessarily need to calculate what the list price is. All we need to figure out is what those two are comparing to. So we got Sam's Music, and that one's 30%. And we got Melody Music, and that one is 3/5, which equals 6/10, which equals that off. So now we know 30%, that should be a 30, not an 80, is equal to that as a decimal. Now I can compare these two decimals and realize, hey, you know what? I probably ought to go to Melanie Music because they're going to give me 60% off or almost 0.6 off. That decimal is a lot bigger than this one over here. Okay? So again, it's a good refresher, good review. Tomorrow when you come into class, you're going to work through that first journal page, and then I want you working through this next one too, 148. Again, it's just converting from fractions here, decimals here, percents here. Okay? You'll notice that they kind of work through the lion and the sloth and the possum. You got to read through these problems. You guys will be able to figure out. You may use your calculator. The first one's been done for you. Okay, so we got 148. And then obviously when you get done with that, you can work on your math boxes. This is another table that we're going to practice with. You're going to see this again, especially in 6th grade. All right, I hope you guys all have a great day, a great evening. Get lots of rest tonight. Don't stay up too late. And we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a great evening, everybody.